Good afternoon, everybody, and a warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining me on this latest Runecast webinar. My name's Steve Bedison. I'm one of the technical sales engineers at Runecast, and today we're going to be looking at managing regulatory compliance across multiple sites with Runecast. So that's the topic for this afternoon. We do have an agenda, which I'm just going to bring up the agenda and what we're going to be covering today. So I appreciate there'll be some folks on the webinar today that may be new to Runecast, and we're going to just quickly look at what the Runecast platform is and how it works. And then we're going to be getting into the main part of this discussion and webinar. So common problems and challenges that organizations face with compliance, faced with regulatory compliance in their IT environments. We're also going to look at how to achieve overall regulatory compliance in an IT environment comprised of multiple vendors, and we're going to show that in the Runecast demo as well, and how to deal with compliance issues across multiple sites. And that's going to be featured as well in the demo. So Q&A as well. There is a Q&A chat window where you can post questions. Somebody's already posted hello. Yeah, hello and welcome to you. If there are any questions as we go through, please feel free to use those. What I often find is early questions that get asked are usually answered throughout the course of the webinar, but please use that. I'll keep an eye on that from time to time and certainly look at that at the end. So please use the questions and answers. Okay, let's just click out of that and move on. So we're going to just have a look at what Runecast is. So Runecast Analyzer is a software platform solution that proactively analyzes your IT systems. And what it's looking for is vulnerabilities, mismatch in configuration, best practice alignment. And today we're going to be looking at and concentrating on security compliance. So, and what it does is it's identifying potential issues before they can cause major outages or potentially lead to security breaches, which we don't want. And as well as identifying those potential issues, Runecast provides resolution guidance and remediation steps. And in many cases, these remediation steps we offer scripts to be able to do that for you. So to mitigate those issues and of course, reduce the chance of potential outages and those security breaches that we don't want. So how does Runecast Analyzer do that? Well, what we do is let's take a step back. 90% of issues are already documented out there, and they come from various sources. And what we do is we take that human readable information from these various sources, and those sources are, for example, KB articles, if we're talking about knowledge base articles for VMware, vendor best practice guidelines, security compliance profiles, which we're going to really get into today, vulnerabilities from MITRE and CISA. And what we do is we take this human readable information and through our AI engine, as it says on that slide there, we convert these rules into machine-based rules. And it's these machine-based rules that are used to scan your IT systems to identify these threats, weaknesses, vulnerabilities before they've happened. So you can see on the slide here, all of this information going in. There's some missing here. We've got Essentials 8, which is one of the security compliance frameworks. Also vulnerabilities, common vulnerabilities and exposures from CISA and MITRE. All of this information is fed into the Runecast Analyzer. And then we use those rules, those machine-based rules that I've just mentioned, to scan against your systems. Those systems being VMware, our cloud offerings, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud now, which is not on there, Kubernetes environments, and we can also scan against Windows devices and Linux devices, endpoints. So that's how Runecast works. Let's skip on to the next slide. So before we get into this, I've put this slide up. So what is security compliance management? Well, security compliance management is the process of monitoring and assessing systems, devices, and networks to ensure they comply with regulatory requirements, as well as industry and local cybersecurity standards. Now, regulatory compliance, what does that mean? It's where organizations adhere to laws, regulations, guidelines, and specifications relevant to its business processes. So you can see there on the screen, we've got a number of compliance frameworks. Some of these will be familiar to you. We are able to, within the Runecast solution, we have 11 compliance frameworks, ranging from GDPR, ISO 27001. You can see there we've got VMware security as well. ASD, which is the Essential 8. This is an Australian compliance framework. So lots of different frameworks that we can scan and analyze your systems against. So what are common problems or challenges that organizations face with regulatory compliance in their IT environments? So if we start from the left-hand side here and work our way across, this is signifying time. So in many organizations, compliance checks across systems is a manual process, and it's a time-consuming process. This is very challenging. This involves lots of people in across different teams involved with doing those checks. So it's resource intense, and often or not, things can get missed, things can get left out. And what we're going to show you with Runecast is how we can make that your life very, very, very much simplified by doing compliance checks with our solution. Also, there are lots of different compliance frameworks. This is what this image is depicting here. Not only that, you've got lots of different platforms, solutions. So VMware, you've got cloud presence, you've got Kubernetes environments. So trying to manage all of that compliance across a large organization with lots of different geographical locations can be very, very challenging indeed. This as well is depicting business processes, as we mentioned, something that starts off in perhaps the US, a business process, it's on a particular system, moves into Europe, it's going to have different compliance requirements. How do you manage all that? It can be very challenging and very difficult. And of course, then the whole objective of this is to be compliant, not non-compliant, and get to a place where we are going to pass audits. We're going to have auditors coming in to check. We say we're compliant, we need to be able to prove it. And with Runecast, we're going to show you how to do that. And it's a continuous process. A lot of organizations geared up for an audit on a particular time of the year, or may have several audits throughout that year. How do you stay on top of that? How can you ensure that you're completely compliant across all your systems? The landscape changes, compliance regulations change, but also your systems are changing. New things are being added, maybe new virtual machines are being added, new hardware, a new Kubernetes environment or cluster. You need to be able to stay on top of that, and we're going to show you how to do that with Runecast. Just going to check to see if there's any questions at the moment. I don't appear to have any, which is good, but please, if there are any questions, please stop me and I will address that. Okay, the final bit before we have a look at a scenario that I've got that we're going to cover in the demo is you're either compliant or you're not. There is no in between. You're either compliant or you're not. Okay. And if you're not compliant and you have a security breach as a result of being non-compliant, the financial implications can be huge and can be very, very damaging. We're all aware of some large organizations, and I'm not going to do any name dropping, but there have been some pretty significant companies, large organizations that have been fined large amounts of money. For example, GDPR breaches, for instance. but we're seeing this, the fact of the matter is we're seeing this in a lot broader concept now. There are certainly smaller organizations that are being fined for GDPR breaches, and they may go under the radar, they may not have the same publicity, but nonetheless, organizations that are found not compliant and there is data breaches are being fined large sums of money. So I think the main driver here is really, once again, the importance of being compliant in your systems. We need to be compliant for a reason, not just because some government organizational body has told us to do so, but we need to protect our systems and we need to protect our data. And of course, Runecast, and we're going to show this, offers this platform solution that can allow you to manage all of your regulatory compliance requirements, no matter what systems that you have and where they are, and where they're located in different data centers, different geographical locations, with different compliance frameworks that you need to adhere to. And it's done in a very, very proactive way. Okay, I want to just, what I've just covered in the last sort of five or so minutes, I want to just sort of create a visual for you that puts some of the words that I put into a kind of a real life situation, if you like. So I've got this company that I've got called Delta. It's a made up company. It doesn't really matter what this company does, but it has a number of data centers and it has a number of geographical locations. And in each of these, let's say the Delta head office is in the US. It's got some VMware presence. It's using AWS for some of its systems, and it uses Windows as well for some of its Windows servers, Windows endpoints for some of its clients. And that part of the organization has certain compliance requirements. So we've got CIS there, NIST, and VMware security hardening guidelines there. We may have an engineering department in Germany, okay, and I've missed off something there. GDPR would certainly be fitting as well for Germany, but BSI, which is a German security compliance framework, and we've got Kubernetes here, we've got Microsoft Azure, we've got some Linux devices, a bit of VMware presence. Again, we've got different compliance requirements for those systems. We move into the UK. Again, we've got GDPR Cyber Essentials that we need on some of our platforms there that we're running. And again, Australia might be an R&D part of the business. It's got some VMware, it's got some operating systems there. And as well as CIS and VMware, excuse me, it needs also the Essentials 8, which is the Australian compliance framework. So very, very challenging. Lots of different people, probably, if it's a manual process that organizations are going through, there'd be lots of different teams of different people, IT operations guys involved here, security compliance teams, and lots of resource to be able to ensure that you're compliant across all of these different sites. And of course, we talked about business processes, something that starts off here, that works its way to Germany, works its way to the UK, interlinked. You've got to be certain that you're compliant with that business process on those systems, and you meet the requirements for wherever that process ends up. So what's the solution? Well, Runecast offers a very proactive approach in managing your compliance requirements for your systems across multiple sites. Now, just going to work my way through this and stop here. So the slide is actually showing a single Runecast virtual appliance there, where all of my individual data centers in my different countries, in my different geographical locations, are all feeding into that one appliance. Now, this is how I've got it set up in the demo, because with the demo, I don't have the luxury of being able to have a Runecast virtual appliance in each of these geographical locations. So if I was going to architect this for my company called Delta, I'd have one of these Runecast analyzers in each of these sites, and from each of the Runecast virtual appliances, I would be able to connect to each of these individual virtual appliances, Runecast virtual appliances, and vice versa if I wanted to do that. And what I'm going to do in the demo is show how that would look like with what we call our enterprise console dashboard. But for the purposes of the demo, the lab that I have, I can split this up into, I can split my systems up on a single Runecast appliance and show you how you could manage this. Ideally, I'd love to be able to do, you know, the real world scenario, but this is what I've got with the constraints of the lab. So hopefully that will come out during the demo. Okay. So yeah, what we're going to show in the demo is how Runecast we can connect to each of these sites, look at the systems, we can look at the compliance requirements. We're going to show you how quickly you can get the results from the analysis, and also single click into the information you need to see where you are compliant, see where you're non-compliant, and how you go about resolving those things, how you go about you know, remediating that and getting your overall compliance across your systems to, you know, the aim of the game is to get it up to 100%, get you audit ready, pass that audit first time. Audits cost money. If you fail an audit, you've got to bring the auditors back in to do another audit, and that costs money. With Runecast Analyzer and the proactive approach and being able to stay on top of compliance, regulatory compliance across your systems is going to prevent that from happening. So we're going to have a look at the demo lab now, taking control in your environment. I'm just going to put this slide up. So as we run through this, if you're interested in having a demo, if you're interested in finding out more about Runecast, please visit our website, runecast.com. You can download a trial version here, or if you simply want to reach out with some questions, please email us on that address there. I will also add we're producing webinars quite frequently now. If there's anything outside of regulatory compliance, we've done webinars on managing large-scale VMware environments, also vulnerability management. Please visit our YouTube Runecast YouTube channel. There'll be a series of webinars and videos there for you to look at. And I'm going to bring this slide back up at the end. I've just noticed we've got a question. Oh, it's just somebody else saying good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Right, let's get into the demo. Let's jump out of the slides. Keep asking questions. If there's anything that you've seen or I've spoken about so far, please drop some questions in. Okay, let's move into the demo now. Okay, now for those of you that are familiar with Runecast, you've probably you'll have recognized the dashboard. For those of you who are new to Runecast, this is what the Runecast user interface looks like. How is Runecast deployed? It's very, very easy. Most of our customers will deploy this as a virtual appliance that will sit in VMware, but it can be deployed in Azure and AWS as a virtual machine on that platform. To say, most of our customers will deploy it as a virtual appliance in VMware. So what have we got here? We're breaking down configurations by severity here. And if you look on the left-hand side, we've got various configuration analysis that we can cover. So config KBs are essentially looking at VMware's knowledge base articles, best practice. This is vendor best practice adoption across the different systems that we support. Those systems that we covered on that slide at the beginning, VMware products, we've got the cloud offerings, AWS, Azure, and GCP, Kubernetes environments, and so that's containerization, and of course operating systems as well. We've got vulnerability detection, vulnerability management. Again, we've got separate webinars for that, but today we're going to concentrate on security compliance. So what I've done, let me just go in and show you what we're looking at. So we're looking at a dashboard here for the Delta US. So going back to those slides, I'm going to try and tell the story that I showed on the slides in the demo environment. So we've got Delta US, our head office. We've got Delta UK, the sales and distribution, Delta Germany with the engineering team. Now, why have I left the Delta Australia off there? Nothing personal against Australia. It was just I didn't have enough of the systems to share out amongst the different regions here. In my lab, I've got one single Runecast appliance, which all of my systems are connected to. In the slide that I showed you earlier, I would ideally have a Runecast appliance in each of those locations. So let's go and have a look at the settings, because we're talking about compliance, and I want to just cover these are the security compliance frameworks that we have for our Runecast solution. And this is changing all the time. We are adding new profiles, compliance profiles for the different systems that we support. CIS at the moment has the biggest coverage, so the Center of Internet Security. The ones you see here ticked are specifically for the lab and for what I'm demonstrating today. So, you know, we've got DISA STIG, which is Department of Defense in the US. That's not selected here. We've got HIPAA, which is a healthcare one. PCI DSS here, payment card industry. I've purposely not selected those for the demo, but if I wanted to add those, I can just simply edit that, select them. When I run the analysis, it'll go away and analyze all of the systems, and it will bring back the results. Now, most customers will have their Runecast appliances set to run once every 24 hours. You can run it as many times as you like. You can configure that to how you want, but most organizations that use Runecast will run it every 24 hours. So let's get back to the dashboard that we were looking at a minute ago for Delta US. Now, this is what we're looking at here, and these are the systems, and I've tried to match what we had on the slides. So we've got a VMware platform here, vCenter 7 there. We've got AWS for some systems that we're running on there. We've got NSXT Manager, and we've got VMware Cloud Director here. And we're able to scan and analyze the compliance frameworks that we've got set for those systems. Now you can see here I've got BSI, Cyber Essentials, and GDPR. Why are they on this list? Because, as I've mentioned, I'm working on a single appliance. If I had an appliance specifically for the US and for each individual geographical location, I'd be able to specify the compliance frameworks I want. However, because this is a single appliance, I have all these the other profiles, but I can filter them out. So if I click on here, this will show everything in a pass status. Okay, so I filtered out the BSI for this one. So let's take a look at what we've got. I'm going to just choose CIS compliance framework here, and immediately you can see I have instant results. This is what Runecast is really, really good at doing. It's identifying where I'm compliant or non-compliant. So if I go up to the filters here, I can see what I'm passing on. So there's lots of different components of the CIS that I am passing on, but if I filter out the ones that I'm failing on, you can see here as I slide across, it tells me what I'm failing on, what I'm passing on. To get an overall pass status, everything on that particular compliance item has to be passed. So if I just pick on this one here, this is ensuring, and again, this is VMware, ensure NTP time synchronization is configured properly. Where you see this symbol, this means we offer a remediation script alongside this. So let's just quickly click into that, see what that looks like. Single click, I have all of the information that I need, the description, issue there, the rationale behind it, how to perform some audits on that, and clearly here the remediation steps. Okay, I'm failing on these three objects. They happen to be ESXi hosts. and I've got a remediation script there. So not only are we identifying very, very quickly in a proactive way where we're non-compliant, we're also showing you what the issue is and how to remediate it. And again, here offering a remediation script for this particular one. And this is changing the NTP service policy here. I can generate that script, and I've got a Power CLI or an Ansible playbook script, which I can then run to remediate this. And then once I've done that, my overall compliance level is going to increase. And of course, we want to get 100% compliancy where we can. Now, I've just picked on one for VMware there with the filtering tools there. Let's just say I wanted to look at my AWS environment, because that's one of the systems we had over here. And I can do that. And I'm going to just pick on this one here. So this is talking about the identity and access management account, and basically stipulating you should have a password that has a minimum length of 14 or greater. Again, single click into here, the analysis finding. This is my AWS account here. It's giving me some details. Rationale, why do I need this password? Well, setting the password complexity policy, as it says there, increases the account resiliency against brute force login attempts. So there's the rationale. And again, here's the remediation steps. I need to log into the AWS console and perform this and basically set a password of minimum 14 or greater there. Just to highlight where this information is coming from, you can go to the original source of this particular compliance framework here. So all of that information is at hand. But again, very, very simple. We're identifying things very quickly in your environment where you're non-compliant. Single click, you've got all the information you need to remediate that problem. And the objective is to get that overall compliancy up to 100%. Okay, great. So that's my Delta US head office. Again, if I want to check and manage the regulatory compliance across my geographical locations, I can go to from here, simply click on the Delta UK sales and distribution, and I will get a different looking dashboard. What are the systems that I've got here? I've got another vCenter environment. I've also got Horizon, VMware Horizon. I've also got a bit of Google Cloud there as well, and some operating systems. And again, I've got my compliancy frameworks here. So as I've mentioned, we've got other ones here listed. These have been filtered out because with the product, you can filter out with a single appliance, as I've mentioned. So I'm going to be concentrating on things like GDPR, Cyber Essentials, and of course the VMware guidelines for this platform here. Again, I can just simply go in, click on GDPR, instant analysis, instant results, telling me where I'm compliant or non-compliant. You can see the different products and the different layers there as we scroll through. This is focusing on vSphere here. Some are passed, some are failed. Again, I can just literally click into any of these, read about the description, how I go about resolving that problem, what this is impacting, original source of information here, and so forth. Again, trying to get that overall compliance up across my systems. And again, it's the same for Germany. I can simply select my Delta Engineering. I believe we've got some Kubernetes over here, and we're using Azure. Let's pick on a product. Let's pick on SQL Server there. And I've got passing on everything there. It's probably not a good one to pick. My SQL Server there. Yeah, passing on everything. But let's say I wasn't. Simple click in here, and I've got all the information that I need to go away and remediate that. Now, of course, with all of what I've shown you across those different platforms, we're able to get ourselves into a position where we're audit ready. So when we know we've got auditors coming in to audit against the systems that we have, against the different compliance frameworks, we can export all of this out into the various reports. So for example, here, if I select this one, let's go into CIS, and I've got various things failing there. I've got the ability to export this out into a report, and I can report this out into a CSV format or a PDF report format. I can include all the affected objects with the findings, so I can create a very detailed report. Or if I just want a high-level report there, I can unselect that, and it'll just give me the high-level detail. Download those reports. If auditors want to see those reports, you've got those reports to hand to them. If they want to come in and specifically identify something to double check that you are compliant, you've got Runecast to be able to do that. Now, I want to talk next about custom profiles. So custom profiles are particularly useful if you've got systems that have various business processes that stretch across different geographical locations, and perhaps you want, for a niche set of systems, you want to have a specific compliance which comes from different compliance frameworks. Well, we can create what we call a custom profile. You can see here I've kind of started doing that. I've got a Delta one here for Germany for the engineering, a Delta UK, a finance one. You may have some finance systems that you want, or a platform that you want to produce a particular custom profile against. And what you can do, what we have is the definition database here. You can come in here, select a particular profile. So let's say, for example, I'm going to select GDPR here. And for my German operation and environment, I've got some SQL servers, and I may want to pick one of these or several of these. I can simply click on this, and I can assign it to copy it to a custom profile. Now, I can select the profile here. Let's select Delta Germany Engineering. Now, this may have been a major one or a medium one, so I've got the opportunity here, if I want to upgrade or downgrade the severity. I can also change, maybe give this something that's a little bit more meaningful in the title, and customize it to my organization, put some optional notes in there, and I can then copy that issue to that profile. Once you've done that, that profile then can be used to run against a particular system, as I said, or group of servers or group of objects within your environment, to do that compliance check. So those are used quite frequently by our customers, really useful for cherry picking across different compliance frameworks. Price console dashboard here. I'm able to break this out into groups, and I'm able to look at the different systems for that. So this would be my local analyzer here, my local appliance. And you can see there it says local analyzer, and I can get a bird's eye view of all the issues going on for that particular system. So how many critical, major, medium, and low, anything in the logs, any vulnerabilities detected here, my overall security compliance adoption, so 88% there, and best practice across all of the different systems. Now you can see here for Germany, I would have a link to my Runecast appliance in the German data center, for example, and I would be able to simply click here and log it into that Runecast appliance and then take a greater look. So with the enterprise console dashboard, you're able to get a bird's eye view of your entire organization, looking at your different Runecast analyzers. So for example, this Kubernetes here, we had in Germany, but I also had this particular vCenter. I could select that for the UK, and again, by doing that, if I had, currently I'm in the US, if I wanted to connect to the UK Runecast analyzer appliance, I would just simply click on the link link and log in. So you can do that from each of the locations. You've got a bird's eye view of what's going on. So that's the enterprise console dashboard. So I'm just going to wrap things up now. With Runecast Analyzer, I'm hoping I've demonstrated that the platform solution is a very, very, very powerful tool for proactively managing your compliance, across all of your different geographical locations. It's also identifying very, very quickly where you're compliant and non-compliant. We're also getting you prepared to, and getting you ready for audit, so being audit ready all of the time. Continuous analysis using Runecast, so you're scanning your systems on a daily basis, checking against all of your systems, checking against compliance. So maintaining your compliance is made simple using Runecast. We are reducing also potentially your attack vectors. We're really identifying where your weaknesses are through the compliance frameworks and giving you the opportunity to proactively fix those, resolve those, and make your systems more resilient and more compliant. And again, what does this add up to? Saving huge amounts of time and effort and resource. Imagine trying to do this, all of this manually across all of your systems, across all of your locations. It would take lots of manpower to do that, lots of reading. We are taking all of that away with Runecast from this, artificial intelligence, this automated approach of being able to scan your systems for compliance. I hope that's been useful. I've noticed here we've got a few questions that have popped up. Let's Ryan Ward, thank you. I was on mute. I hope I wasn't on mute for too long. I think I must have inadvertently selected that while I was moving something around on the dashboard. Yeah, okay. Another one saying muted. Okay, I'm just going to give this last opportunity. Are there any additional questions, any further questions that anybody would like to ask? Just wait a few seconds. I will just put that final slide back up again. Let's just run through that. So if anybody has, would like to reach out to us, please feel free to reach out on that address there at runecast.com, roi@runecast.com. If you've got any questions, please go and have a look at the Runecast website. If you would like to have a download or trial, please request that. And also, I'd encourage you to go and look at the YouTube channel. We've produced quite a lot of webinars and videos recently, so please go and take a look at that. And yes, there is another question, I believe, that's come in. From where to access Enterprise Console? Is it hosted in only one specific appliance or accessible from all appliances? Yeah, so with the Enterprise Console dashboard, there's a selector within your Runecast appliance. You can enable the Enterprise Console dashboard, and then from there you're able to connect to your different systems. So if I come back here, add analyzer connection, so you can add another connection to another Runecast appliance. So for example, with our example here, somebody in the head office in the US could connect to each of those other appliances, one in Australia, one in Germany, one in UK. You could restrict that going back the other way. You can configure it exactly how you like, but the Enterprise Console is there for getting a bird's eye view of what's going on with your other environments where you have a Runecast analyzer in that location. So I hope that's answered that question. There's another question that's come in. Yes, you can break out the roles in this, so you could have different teams accessing and being able to see different systems. You could have managers being able to access this and only having read only. Typically, it's the IT operations guys, the systems engineers guys that are the doers that go in and fix the things. But you might have security compliance teams that want to come in and check and look at this. They won't be able to make changes, but they'll be able to see and do all the reporting and so forth. So you can really tailor. We've got LDAP, Active Directory, so you can create your organizational groups that have the different roles and different access controls to the various platforms and various systems. Okay, I think that's it. I am going to give you back 3 minutes of your afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me. This has been recorded, so a copy of this will be sent out to those that couldn't join. But thank you once again for joining me on this webinar, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you very much.